Yeah, exactly. Party grind. I mean, I don't want to get into the kind of philosophy and politics of it and everything. You know, I'm not here to discuss these things, but it kind of seems to me kind of almost logical that if you open up things, then it's gonna pick up again. So then. Yeah, I don't know what else to say really, without getting too political or too ideological about the whole thing. But as I said, it seems logical that if you open up again, almost back to normal, then it's gonna pick up because this thing is not gone. So then it's just a matter of time. The only thing to come back to the health, to the global health situation is the fact that if we are to get more and we have to do lockdowns and stuff like that, then it's gonna be really bad. And that's what I'm kind of a little bit concerned about, you know, is that if we do have to lock down again, if there's a second wave, and kind of in the autumn in particular, and it hits us harmed, then from a social and economical point of view, it's gonna be really bad. So, and then there might be more hardship, like for, you know, the aviation industry, and then jobs, even more jobs might be at risk and stuff like that. So anyway, I don't want to be the, you know, all doom and gloom, but yeah. Let's talk about aviation. Right, we're gonna get into Germany there. Here I don't have too long to go, but just under an hour to go. Top of descent already in 291 miles, well, without the arrival in, but I'm not sure we'll get the French on arrival. We'll see. Still have about just under an hour to go, so. So today this one again is and the cruise, you've got the cruise thrust mode. I'm just kind of looking at it and realized that cruise was set as the thrust mode. You've got two possible settings, either like cruise mode, or otherwise climb. I think I showed that like a few broadcasts ago, like the cruise thrust mode, the limit is a little bit less than the climb. So climb, it may sound paradoxical, but you can use it in the cruise phase of the flight as well. And climb, if we look at page, if we look at the thrust limit page here, cruise is maximum is 95.9. and the climb, if we select it, is 99.5. so there's a little bit more available thrust in climb mode than in cruise mode. If for any reason there's a drop in the speed or anything like that, you've got more thrust available to catch up with whatever situation is developing. At high altitude, the engines took a long time to spool up. So if you find yourself, for example, in a low speed situation, sometimes there can be a bit of like a wind shift or something, or temperature change, and the speed would drop. If you kind of find yourself in a low speed or getting close to a low speed situation, then it's nice to have more thrust available. Anyway, I'll leave it as is. There's cruise, so it's alright here. There's no issues. And I guess that's the setting like from PMDG for this configuration. That's why aviation also is about, you know, to go to a place that you don't go too often. Go there like in an aircraft, fly yourself, stop for a while. I guess it's like us going on a layover to a place you like, because there are places that personally I don't really like, but going to a place I like is nice, you know, go on a layover for 24 hours or sometimes a little bit more. Go out for something to eat, go to tourist sites depending on the city you go to. Yeah, it's nice. That's what it's about. Alright, that's 1 hour flying time now, just about. So far so good. No gimmicks today, so just go from A to B without any trouble. Right, so if we have about 20 minutes, yeah, I'll look at the approach. So we'll check the recall, there's no issues. We'll check the notes, there are no notes here, and the checklist. Close the display. Then we'll check the weather. So I'll bring the active sky and look at the destination. We make this bigger, number 5. So in Paris at 11:30 Z there was automatic weather report. The wind was 220 at 12 knots. Varying from 190 to 260 degrees, so it's varying to almost a full crosswind actually. 9999 is 10 kilometers or more. Broken at 2,900 feet and overcast at 3.5, so it's quite cloudy actually. 20 degrees, dew point is 13. QNH 1021 hectopascals, and then tempo for the next 2 hours, temporary periods of 250, 15 gusting 25, so a little bit gusty at times, but with the runway, with the wind a little bit more in the runway axis, it's runway 27. Yeah, it's not. So it's quite nice, it's good enough for now. Let's approach, that would be runway 27 right. Mind you, I'm supposed to park in the south terminal. I might go for runway 26 left actually. Yeah, I'll probably go 26 left to be honest. Yeah, that'll be a shorter taxi. Cool, so we'll go for 26 left, shorter taxi. So we're going to a terminal 2, to 2C I think. That was the gate set up for GSX. And there's going to be the Vidas 8 whiskey. So at Paris Charles de Gaulle, you've got 4 runways.
Lufthansa 1630, ready for takeoff, runway 25 left.
They use 2 runways for takeoff and 2 runways for landing. The takeoff runways are usually runway 26 right and 27 left, and obviously the same in the reciprocal direction. And the landing runways are 26 left and 27 right, so they can use the runways, the north and the south runways independently, because there's a big enough gap between the runways.
916.
Alright, so in the FMC,
ILS 7 right, sorry, 25 right, 18 miles.
go ILS 26 left, it's the Vidas 8 Whiskey. No, it's timing out, okay. And it's Lorny 5 Whiskey transition, so I'll execute that. Then what we're gonna do is go from Vidas, so Vidas is level 260, is set here, 280 knots, that's correct. That's correct, then to Axiram is good. Then we go to Enori, and then to Devim, 250 knots, 130 or below, that's correct. And then to Lorny, which is 250 knots, 130 or below, yeah, and fly level 70 or above. So we've got here 70, so that's good. And then it's transitioning to the Papa Golf 520, which is not showing here, so it's probably on the approach side of things. We go select approach, 26 left, and it's gonna be the Lorny 5 Whiskey transition. Activate that. So yeah, from Lorny to the Papa Golf 520, and then vectors there. Let me go to the other screen. So I was asked the other day, when you've got vectors in the arrival, for example, how to kind of manage that. So what you can do, if I can go to the plan mode here, make it a little bit bigger. So the transition is from Lorny there to Papa Golf 520, and then you've got vectors, and then the next point is Charlie Fox 26 left. So I guess the easiest thing to do actually in this situation is to link Charlie Fox 26 left to the Papa Golf 520. Above all, when you're on your own, you just kind of follow what the track is there, and it's gonna take you to the ILS. That's probably the easiest thing to do. If for example the last waypoint will be here, and then the vectors will be going in this direction, then what you can do is maybe make up a point, kind of base leg waypoint around here, and then that would kind of do the turn for you. So you kind of make something sensible there. So it depends on where the vectors are, and then you can kind of adjust, either link like here, link the two together, and it kind of looks sensible towards the ILS. Otherwise, if the vectors were going, let's say, from here to there, then from the last point here, maybe make a base leg waypoint there, and then the LNAV track will kind of do the turn like that. So yeah, depending on the situation. Then we got the center fix at 4,000 feet, that's correct. And then the missed approach is going to the Papa Golf 442, the Papa Golf 433, 4,000 feet, and that's a hard altitude, and then via Pontoise to the Mopar waypoint of level 70, yeah, that's correct. So first of all 4,000 feet and then climb flight level 70 for the missed approach, which is good. The transition, what transition do I have? 60, yeah, that's correct. So the FMC is good there, everything is in there. I'll go back to the map mode, make the range a little bit bigger. The QNH was 1021, so I preset 1021 down here on the PFD and also in the standby ADI. So press the button to bring the actual altimeter scale there, 1021. The standby ADI doesn't really interfere with the autopilot, so you can change it even in the cruise when the main altimeters are set to standard. This one doesn't interfere with the automatics, so that's good. Set it there, and also preset the approach there, so that's set for later on. Then for the VREF, we're gonna land there with about 10 tons. So look again, our zero fuel weight, it's 231.3, so plus 10 tons is gonna be 241.3 roughly. I can set 241. That's gonna give us VRF for flap 30 of 146, and we'll fly 151 on the final approach. And I have a quick look at the minima for 26 left on the actual chart. 520. So with the minimums knob there, we have it on the back knob is on barrow, and then we'll set the barrow minimums down to 520. Here is, and finally we'll go for auto brakes 2, I guess, or maybe even 3. And that's us pretty much set up at this stage. Top of descent in just over 40 miles, so that's good. And one last thing on runway 26 left. I'll set runway 26 left there in the fixed page, which actually gives us the airport ICAO code, and set 8 miles for the configuration there. Just once again, that's a situational awareness thing to have like something showing on the display. It's not like a set procedure or anything, but it's just like a personal technique, just to have something to see on the display as a reminder to drop the gear and do all the configuration. Descent checklist.
Stand by. Descent checklist. Recall checked. Notes
Checked.
auto brake level 3. Landing data.
VRF is 146, minimums 520 feet.
VREF 146. Minimums 200 feet. Approach briefing.
Completed.
Descent checklist complete.
Right, reset MCP altitude, so there was a restriction at 260 at the at VDES actually. So we set 260 there. Just passing Luxembourg on the left here. It's coming in via the east, northeast of France now. You can see here on the PFD the speed is referenced to decimal 835 in the descent, and then around maybe it's soon gonna transition actually, since we are almost at the equivalent of 314, which is then the indicated airspeed in the descent. And yeah, here is now 314. So once the speed bug there reaches 314, because initially it was it was slower. It was around, I don't know, maybe 280 or 290, whatever. But then as we went down, the Mach number then makes the indicated airspeed increase, and when the two meet at 314, then the speed transition to 314 indicated there. And the same actually happens in the climb as well. From 320, the indicated airspeed remains stable at 320, but as you climb, the Mach number is increasing, and then when you meet the corresponding Mach number from the climb page, then it transitions to the Mach number. So depending if it's decimal 83, decimal 835. Yeah, that's another paradoxical thing. You're right. In the descent, the thrust mode is still the cruise mode. There's no really descent thrust mode. So in the descent, the cruise thrust there is enunciated. That's the way the aircraft
1,000 feet to level off.
That's the way the aircraft is designed. It's quite paradoxical, because you're right, in the descent they shouldn't show cruise, but that's what the aircraft does. As you can see here in the thrust limit section, there's only go around thrust, continuous thrust, cruise thrust, and then the different climb thrust with a bit of a rate on the climb. So the cruise is 94.2, the climb, as I showed, was a little bit more. Climb 1, climb 2, it's actually the same, but yeah, that's more for the initial climb actually. And you can actually change all these if you wish, but in the descent the normal mode is cruise, which is paradoxical, I guess. Right, 260 at Vidas with 280 knots. It's doing a good job. So we'll go back to cruise page there. Cruise mode in the descent, paradoxically. Yeah, you can kind of assimilate indicated airspeed and calibrated airspeed. You know, basically the when I say indicated airspeed is the airspeed displayed on the PFD there. Indicated, calibrated, there's a very thin line. There's a very small difference between the two, which, to be honest, I would have to dig into my books to look again, because for me, as I was explaining, you know, it's basically like three speeds. The indicated airspeed for me, which is the one here on the actual instrument, the true airspeed, which shows on the navigation display up here, there, the true airspeed, and then the Mach number. So. And on the display, actually, also here you've got the ground speed, which is the true airspeed minus or plus the wind component. So the terms indicated airspeed and calibrated airspeed, to kind of generalize, are kind of interchangeable, at least in my vocabulary. If it makes sense. Seatbelt sign on.
Seatbelt signs coming on.
Yeah, it's a small difference. It's a very small difference. There is a difference, and as you say, it's like, you know, whatever the instrument corrects and where it should be, but it's a minor difference. So in kind of everyday use, then indicated is pretty much the same as calibrated. 250 knots is by the VIM. Okay, trying to make the VIM at 250 knots. For the moment, it doesn't look like the VNAV is calculating a shallower path to decelerate. At 1600 feet per minute, it's never gonna decelerate from 280 to 250 to allow for the deceleration unless we use speed brakes. Then it needs to kind of reduce the rate of descent, so calculate the VNAV needs to calculate a more shallow path to allow for the deceleration at this rate of descent. There it's not gonna happen, so I'm probably gonna have to use speed brakes to slow down a little bit. The aircraft cannot descend and slow down at the same time. It's a bit of a compromise. Either you slow down but you lose the rate of descent, or otherwise you descend and you maintain a certain rate of descent, but you can't slow down with a moderate to a high rate of descent. So it really is a compromise in all phases of flight, actually, be it in the initial part of the descent, or even when you climb as well to accelerate. The nose needs to come down a little bit. If you got a relatively high nose altitude, then the aircraft will accelerate as well. Alright, we'll use a pair of speed brake. And we'll continue the descent to flight level 70. That's alright, we should cross Devim, flight level 130, and with about 250 knots, so it's going to work out nicely. So the speed brakes here will help slowing down, but otherwise the rate of descent is still calculated to be relatively high, so I would never slow down otherwise. And then Lorny is 70 or 130 or above. We're gonna be actually way above flight level 70 because it's the next 6 miles. So. But we're definitely below 130, so that's good. We're in the soup at the moment, actually. Right in cloud. So yeah, 250 knots, descending towards 70, probably then transfer to the Gaulle approach, would then probably clear for initially the Lorny 5 Whiskey transition, and then at some point before Papa Golf 520 take the aircraft under radar vectors towards the arrival. Today, because I'm parking in Terminal 2C, then we're gonna land in the Saverly runway. So runway 26 left, otherwise it would have been runway 27 right. So we'll follow the transition. Oh, we broke out of cloud now. Nice. So at 10,000 feet he's gonna turn on some of the lights. Here it's only the left and right landing light, and I think the runway and turn off lights come on. We would switch all the lights, to be honest. But the FS2 crew and procedures are a little bit different. And then below flight level 100, the kind of default airspeed is 240, and very often we do keep 240. To be honest, we don't change it to 250, so very often below flight level 100 in the descent, and then we revert back to 240 knots, which is okay. It's alright, unless there's a specific
flight level 100
speed limit or restrictions imposed, but otherwise.
Cabin crew, prepare for landing.
Right, and here after Papa Golf 520, we'll just simulate radar vectors, and we'll just follow the LNAV track to the CF26 left here, and then establish on the ILS like that. And we'll descend to 4,000 feet. Approach checklist.
Approach checklist. Altimeters.
1021 set.
1021. Approach checklist complete.
Very good, very good. As you can see here, we are like nicely going towards the ILS on the EFB. Yeah, that's quite nice. I will go back to the full stream. Yeah, it's quite cloudy today in Paris. Lovely. Right, so 25 miles to the runway. Let's see, 7,000 feet. It's looking good. Tried to do the 3-in-1 rule, so 1 nautical mile is about 300 feet, so trying to plan the descent accordingly. Yeah, that's to set the intermediate altitudes in the MCP is actually a recommended way of doing things, because if for any reason you missed the VNAV disconnects or the VNAV messes up or anything like that, then you kind of set the altitudes on the way down. And if you've got the altitude set in the MCP, if there's an altitude restriction down on the way, then you will stop, for example, at 70. Whereas if you set 4,000 feet straight away and then the VNAV messes up or the VNAV disconnects and you descend, you might bust the flight level 70 restriction. So yeah, that's a recommended way of doing things, is to kind of set the altitudes as published and change them along the way on the descent. Yeah. Unless the altitudes are like really close together, then you can set a lower altitude and not like having to change all the time. But if the altitudes are relatively spaced out, then you need to set every single one of them on the way down. Flaps
1,000 feet to level off. Speed checked, flaps 1.
We'll approach. Flaps 5.
Speed checked. Flaps 5.
Yeah, let me go back to this because actually now you can see it's changed to go around. So lower down it changes to climb, and then once you extend the flaps it changes to go around. Yeah, vertical speed.
Check.
Flaps 15.
Speed checked. Flaps 15.
Yeah. That's well observed actually. Lower down the thrust mode goes to climb, and then when the flaps are extended, it goes to go around. And then if you do go around, obviously it's gonna be in go around thrust. And then once the flaps are up, then you need to press fly level change, or possibly that climb continuous button here, to then change the thrust mode back to climb. The glide slope capture.
Check.
Glide slope capture.
Check.
4,000 feet is set. So yeah, as you can see now, it's showing go around. Oh, come on, it's not keeping the speed very well there. Alright, we're gonna have to use the big means. Gear down.
Gear down.
Flaps 20.
Speed checked. Flaps 20.
So the gear provides quite a big amount of drag, so it helps slow down. For some reason there, although the speed was back to about 180, I hit the glide slope, and that's why I was saying then I think it was a little bit exaggerated here in the simulation, but yeah, the speed then increases. So
2,500.
Cabin crew, take your seats, please.
The speed is now nicely under control. Maybe about 1,000 feet, you know, once you start flying manually and everything is nicely settled down, then you look inside, outside, inside, outside, take in the outside picture, kind of still fly the instrument, still fly the ILS, but also kind of take in the visual picture outside. Flaps 30.
Speed checked. Flaps 30.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, landing is a visual maneuver, so at some point you need to look outside. Then the glide slope, the PAPI should kind of match as well. So you're on the glide slope, you should have 2 whites, 2 reds, pretty much all the way down. Then sometimes, depending on the location of the PAPI, then might be a little bit there might be a little bit of a discrepancy, but otherwise should be the same. Landing checklist.
Landing checklist. Landing checklist complete.
Checklist complete. Alright, let's try to fly this thing. So clear to land, Air France 1147, clear to land 26 left.
Approach stable.
1,000.
Right, so for example here kind of look at the PFD, at the instruments, look outside a little bit, look back inside, the speed is good, kind of fly with the flight directors, we are on the glide slope, outside it looks like
Approaching 2-6 left.
2 whites, 2 reds, so it's looking good. Localizer, glide slope are still centered, the speed is good. The speed is taken care by the auto throttle, so unless it starts dropping, or then you wouldn't touch the speed too much. So you're looking inside, looking outside now, back in. Oops, the frame is...
Terrain.
No,
Terrain.
no, I don't know why it does that.
300.
So looking outside, now we've got 3 reds, but I'm flying the glide slope. So
Approaching minimums.
Approaching minimums.
that's checked. Looking inside, outside, trying to
Minimums.
establish the center line.
50. 40.
Now look
30,
outside, raise the nose.
10.
Don't do a floaty. That's it. Floated a little bit there. But
Speed brakes up. Reverse as normal.
that's it. A pair of reversers. We can do an idle reverse as well. 60 knots.
60 knots.
Manual braking. We'll take the next exit.
1,200 meters.
I'm not sure why it did give me that pull-up warning, because that's like I think the simulator is losing its marbles a little bit. That's it. Welcome to Paris Charles de Gaulle. We'll vacate here at Vector 3. I'll switch off the weather radar, store the speed brakes with the shortcut I have on the keyboard. No, it's not worked. That's it. Okay to clean up.
Check.
And yeah, the first officer would clean up the aircraft, so retract the flaps, switch off the auto brake, reconfigure the lights, for example. And then we go at Sierra 3, cross the runway. So I know here I'm on my own, so it's alright. Obviously to cross the inner runway here, which is the departure runway, you'll need a clearance to cross. You cannot cross like this on the way back to the terminal. You'll need to stop, get the clearance, and then cross. I do believe we're going pretty much straight ahead to Charlie 4.
Approaching 08 left.
Okay, Charlie's and Charlie 4. I hope it's gonna work. Yep, it's looking good. Here we are, straight ahead and then a slight right turn. It looks like the equipment is in place. We've got a marshaller. All good. Yeah, it was much easier to come this way rather than land on the other side of the airport and then have to taxi like 3 miles to get back. Hold on, I'll get back to you, Ian, with the last question. Let me get on to stand. Lights and doors. Oops.
Cabin crew, disarm doors and cross-check. Thank you.
I went a little bit too far there. Got distracted. Whoa, 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 whoa. Looking at the chat. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, the parking is gonna be interesting there. Good God. But it's gonna be too close. This is annoying actually. Right, that will do. Probably all. Parking brake is gonna come on. Parking brake is set. The APU is running, so we'll shut down the engines. We'll disarm the doors. Here we are. Welcome to Paris. No, you change the speed really to at your discretion and with whatever you want to fly. If you want to keep 250 knots until almost intercepting the ILS, you can do it, but at some point you'll have to slow down. You can follow the way the speed is programmed in the FMC if it's a set kind of procedure, but I tend to kind of take a more manual approach to it. So yeah, I like to fly, for example, in fly level change and vertical speed instead of just following the VNAV, you know, all the way down. So yeah. Shutdown checklist.
Shutdown checklist. Parking brake.
Set.
Shutdown checklist complete.
Does that make sense, yeah? The Airbus is a little bit, from what I understand, a little bit more. You can get like the managed speed, so the computer would kind of control the speed a little bit more. And but I do find on the Boeing that at like lower levels on the approach, we tend to use the kind of more basic modes like you know, flight level change or vertical speed, and then control the speed ourselves instead of letting the computer do it. So as I was trying to say, the only time where you would let the computer do it if, for example, you've got some sort of a VOR approach where you've got like the teardrop procedure and everything can be managed like this, then yeah, in a sense you can let the computer do it. But otherwise, on an ILS approach, when you're under radar vectors, you'll never know exactly what the vertical profile is. It kind of depends on the vectors. So if you rely on the VNAV, then the VNAV is not gonna do a good job, and you're gonna have to adjust it all the time with the speed limits. So it's not very practical. So most of the time on the approach, we would fly on the basic mode, so fly level change and vertical speed. So yeah, that's the end of the tour. We did Paris, London, Frankfurt, Munich, Amsterdam, Rome, Madrid, Barcelona, Zurich, Stockholm, Brussels, Warsaw, and back to Paris today. No bad. That's it. Like always, I'll hang around a little bit here, and then I'll head off. If you have any last questions or any comments, then feel free to ask and let me know. like always, I'll publicize all the various links. Please try to join me there. I don't bite. I'm a nice guy. You can keep up to date with what's going on. Join me as well on the YouTube channel for more of these and all the good tutorials. I do particularly invite you to get on Discord, because there's good things which are possible there, so yeah. Please also enable your notifications here and also on the YouTube channel to be kept up to date with all the either me coming online here on Twitch or otherwise when the videos are published on YouTube. That's it. Once again, thank you very much for joining me today. It was a pleasure to have you on, and until next time, take care and I'll see you soon. Thanks.